Welcome to the Rambler Sports Locker's Day 2 coverage of Arch Madness here at the Scottrade Center in St. Louis, Missouri. I'm Nader Issa. I'm joined by Emma Wheeler and Alison Krakowiak. Now on Day 1, the SIU Salukis beat the Missouri State Bears to advance to the second day of the tournament, where they hope to carry their momentum into the matchup with one of the nation's top-ranked teams.
The Salukis faced off against number 1 seed Wichita State. Junior Anthony Bean of SIU going up against fellow junior Fred Van Vliet of the Shockers. Bean had it going early, gives them a shimmy, hits the step-back jumper. He had 8 quick points. Van Vliet said, "Anything you can do, I can do better." Scores a transition bucket and the foul to put Wichita up 11-10 halfway through the first. SIU was matching the effort of the Shockers to this point. Jordan Caroline laying out to get the steal. Right there, the Salukis take it back the other way, and Jalen Pendleton with a beautiful up and under. Salukis take the 15-11 lead. Shockers had enough. They break out the full court press, and SIU just couldn't handle it. They turned the ball over 11 times, including this possession, where the Salukis couldn't even get the ball past half court. Tired out from the full court press, SIU breaks down on defense, and Shaquille Morris with a monster jam. Shockers lead at the half, 28-20. And to the second half they go. The Salukis trying to hang around. Bean hits the deep jumper to cut the lead to 8. He would finish with 10 points on the game. Van Vliet says, "You can't guard me either." Hits the J, 39-29 Shockers. But Wichita State was just too much for SIU. Tequil Cotton goes baseline, goes reverse, and goes for 12 points. And to put the cherry on top, Van Vliet air mails to UPS. What can Zach Brown do for you? SC top 10 play right there. Wichita State beats the Salukis 56-45. Van Vliet, 13 points. Pendleton, 12 points. And the Shockers advance to the semifinals tomorrow on Day 3 of Arch Madness.
Now, Emma, on Wichita State's side, their 3 stars were held in check for most of the game. They finished with a nice stat line at the end of the game. All 3 of Baker, Van Vliet, and Cotton were in double figures scoring, but they didn't shoot the ball well from the field. How are they able to still hold on for such a, I'd say, dominating win?
You know, you're right. They didn't start out with the same fire that SIU started with. They weren't as aggressive. They didn't have the same energy. But towards the end of the first half, Tequil Cotton hit a major three-pointer that led them on a 9-0 run. And then with that, with the full court zone press that they implemented, they just couldn't come back. The SIU just couldn't come back from it, and it changed the energy for the rest of the game. That 9-0 run kept them up. They ended up only winning by 11 points. That was how they won the game.
Yeah, and then Wichita State, obviously this entire side of the arena was full with their fans. Do you think that had made a big difference in the game?
You know, when we're watching it, obviously it looks like that. It's hard to say that the not having the same fan base on both sides, it feels like a home game.
Yeah.
But from the press conference, the players said, they appreciate the fans and everything, but they didn't seem that was a game changer. The picking up of their defense and holding them to that dominating defense, holding the offense to lower scores, that's what changed the game for them.
And now for Southern Illinois, Anthony Bean started the game out. He scored 8 of Southern Illinois' first 10 points. After that, he was held to 2 points for the rest of the game. How are the Shockers able to hold him to such a low scoring night when he's probably the Salukis' most dominant player?
You know, exactly. He started out with 8 of their 10 points, and most of those were long threes. He had distance on those threes. But as soon as they had that full court zone press, they didn't have the same energy. The fast break game, that's not SIU's game. They can't keep up. They lost some energy. They lost, they didn't have the same fight as they did at the beginning of the game from that defense.
Yeah.
And they had the rebounds at the beginning of the game, but they just, as soon as the energy picked up to what Wichita State has with most of their games, they just couldn't keep it up.
All right, thank you, Emma. Now moving on to the second game of the day.
Number 4-seeded Illinois State facing off against number 5-seeded Evansville University in the 4th game of the tournament. The Redbirds get hyped before the game as they prepared to face one of the top scorers in the MVC, DJ Ballantyne. Right off the bat, the Redbirds got it going. Reggie Lynch drives it baseline and puts in the reverse layup to kick off the scoring for Illinois State. After that, the Birds and the Aces traded threes back and forth again and again and yet again. 4 threes in less than a minute. Later in the half, and Evansville up for most of it, Krakowiak throws down 2 vicious dunks late in the half. He was a beast in the paint all night. However, Illinois State would hang around as the halftime score was 37-31. Ballantyne led the Aces with 7, while Shane Hawkins had 8 for the Redbirds. To the second they went. Deshaun Knight knifes his way to the basket and puts in the tough layup. He finished with 12. The Redbirds really got it going in the second. Reggie Lynch added a transition basket of his own. The forward finished with 9 points as ISU led most of the way. Evansville tried to take back the lead, and they momentarily did with 2 huge dunks by Krakowiak and Ballantyne. But the Purple Aces couldn't hit the big 3 when it counted, and Lynch ensured there would be no putback either. ISU held on for the 71-67 victory. Ballantyne and Hawkins both finished with 17 points, and after the game, Dan Mueller, head coach of Illinois State, said the team still has work to do if they want to beat the number 1 ranked Wichita State Shockers tomorrow.
We've got to if you're going to be Wichita State, you got to out-tough them, and that's really hard to do because they're going to show up every day to every game and play with incredible toughness and incredible composure. So that's going to be a big challenge for us tomorrow.
The second game of the day didn't have quite the atmosphere that the first game did without the Wichita State fans here to provide that electricity. On the court, though, is just as entertaining. Now, Allison, what stood out to you in the game, and why was Illinois State finally able to pull away from Evansville at the end of the game?
Okay, well, a couple things stood out to me from this game. First of all, it was a really high-scoring game, and the final score was 71-67, and that's definitely been the highest-scoring game so far of Arch Madness this year. And also, it was a game of runs. So Evansville and the Redbirds, neither of them really kept the lead for a long time, and so none of them could really carry that lead and really make a significant lead for the whole time. But also, the other team, when they were down, none of them laid down and just let the other team take the lead and basically win the game early on. So in the first half, Evansville was up, and then ISU came in within the last minute and a half, and then they got the score. I'm pretty sure it was 33-31, and then they went into halftime, and then coming in for the second half, ISU had the lead for most of the time, and then Evansville just couldn't really finish it out to win the game.
Yeah. On Evansville's side, DJ Ballantyne really carried the team in that run that you were talking about. On Illinois State's side, they had more of a balanced attack. They used a lot of players to be able to build that lead. Can you talk a little bit about their balanced attack?
Yeah, ISU, they had lots of their players really contributed for their high-scoring game. 3 of them, so Hawkins, Knight, and Akun Purcell, they had 17, 12, and 13 points. So all of them, it was a really high-scoring game, all across the players, all across the team for that one.
Yeah. And then going back to Evansville, I mentioned DJ Ballantyne. He really put the team on his shoulders in the first half. Was there any other player on the Purple Aces that really stood out to you or was able to help Ballantyne build that lead?
Ballantyne, he played really well, obviously. And then Krakowiak, he was just playing vicious out there. He had, in the first half, I remember, 2 dunks, super exciting for the team. And then in the second half, he had, with 3.5 minutes left, he had a dunk, and he got fouled, and then he went to the free throw line. He made that, and then that actually put them up 62-61 over ISU. So, he played really well. He had, not only was he just dunking a couple times during that game, but he was just really good in the paint. He was really a strong player for them.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the most hotly contested games of the tournament so far. Evansville had 31 rebounds. Illinois State had 32 rebounds. It was a really close game, and that built up the momentum going into the night games of Day 2 on Arch Madness.